Hey guys, welcome back. So got the transmission back together, and I finally got the head back. All right, so it's been about a month. Actually, it's been about a month and some change. So what had happened was, so I went ahead, I sent the head out. I took the head to Advanced Cylinder Head and Winter Garden, Orlando. Just to say Orlando, no one knows what Winter Garden is. Um, so anyways, I sent the head out, or took the head to them. Let me go close my trunk. Anyways, I took the head to them. They had a pretty big backlog, so it just took them a while to get to it. When they finally got to it, they determined that the head had apparently 7 bad valves. I believe these are all exhaust valves. Yeah, they're the tiny boys. All exhaust valves. So, oh man, those are bent. Huh. Can't believe I didn't notice that when I pulled them apart. Anyways, yeah, these are all exhaust valves. So, oh no, there's an intake valve. That one's bad too. Mostly exhaust valves, though. So, question for the class is, what bends exhaust valves? If you said two-step, you'd be correct. Not necessarily two-step in and of itself, but two-step in a very, when you use two-step the wrong way. Basically, when you go for the hot boy type of two-step, where, you know, lots of fire, lots of bangs, lots of pops. The way you do that is you run it really lean, and then really rich, and then really lean. So meaning that you're running a pretty lean mixture. And anyways, I'm not gonna get too far into it. But anyways, you run a lean mixture, you get the pops and the bangs and stuff. It's really hard in the valves. So apparently, almost all the exhaust valves were bent, and because the valves are bent, they destroyed the valve guides. So I ended up having to wait on all types of parts. Not all types of parts. Luckily, my buddy Carlos, Magma Tuning, you know, world's fastest BP engine, period. Uh, you know, he had a bunch of valves laying around, so he helped me out in that, so I didn't have to go buy valves. But I did have to buy guides, and it just took time. It took about a week for the guides to show up and a week for the shims to show up, so about 5 weeks total to get this guy back. And because I knew that there was such um, a long wait ahead, I kind of really wasn't very motivated to do a whole lot of anything, you know? So, like I said in the previous clip, got transmission back together. So that's a good thing. But other things that I could have been doing, such as repainting the engine bay or rebuilding the engine harness, I haven't gotten to that yet. So, pretty much right now, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put the head back on the block, just because I don't have a safe place to really put this. And by putting the head on the block, I'll be able to kind of seal things up, and then I can move on to some other things. Plus, with the head back now, I can go ahead and put the intake manifold back on, the injectors on, and I can start on that harness. I had a spare head that I could have dug out to do that. I just really didn't feel like digging that thing out, and so, anyways, so, once I get the head on the block, I'll probably go ahead and start on the engine harness, and once the harness is done, I will begin the process of sanding and redoing the engine bay. The engine bay is not necessary. I've been going back and forth as to whether or not I should just go ahead and throw everything together and put it back in, get back up and going. But it's near the end of February. Here in Florida, we're going to be losing that nice cool weather. I'd rather just get the car right, you know. It was never meant to be a show car. Hey, what's going on? It was never meant to be a show car. But I'd like to take a little more pride in it, in the sense of I would like to clean it up, you know, have it be a little more presentable. So, so yeah, that's pretty much the plan. But anyways, we got our studs here. We Other studs, everything's all nice and clean and blown off. I've cleaned off my tools, which is something I suggest you guys do when you're working on an engine and you're putting stuff together. Spray down some brake cleaner, take an air hose, spray it off. That way you don't drop debris and stuff inside the engine while you're working on it. Especially sockets, because sockets will get real dirty inside, get a whole bunch of crud and stuff in there, and then you're putting that stuff inside your engine. So much like a surgeon would do when working on a patient, clean your tools before going to town on it. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get this guy that's been sitting for a few weeks now. I'm going to clean the deck, especially since I had tape on there. So yeah, as far as the head goes, all I had done was, actually, yeah, I guess I can show you the head before I bolt it down, you know. Nothing special, you know, it's... So yeah, basically what I had done to the head was just your basic kind of stuff. That looks kind of scary. Had it cleaned up, had it decked. It looks like it's fairly smooth. Had it decked, had a valve job done. So it's a CNC 3-angle, whatever you want to call it, multiple angle valve job. It looks like they put new seats in it too. So stock valves, new seats, decked, cleaned, assembled, valve lash, all that stuff adjusted. So basically this head is good to go. So originally I was planning on just having them do the valves and then I would put it together, but it's like I don't have shims and I would have to order a assortment of shims, and it would be like, oh, I don't have this shim, so now I have to wait a few days for the new shim to show up, and then it would just be this long process versus having a machine shop that knows exactly how to do it and has everything to do it. Just pay them to do it. Unfortunately, when I made that decision, I did not know the car would have 7 bent valves in it and would need new valve seats. So what I thought was going to be a $500 job ended up being about a $750 job. Not mad about it. It's, you know, name of the game. But definitely a lot more than I was intending on spending originally. And now it kind of has me second guessing this max speeding rod experiment. Because it's like, now I'm worried about trashing a $700 head. It was open. And we got our OEM Mazda multi-level steel gasket. So you can use, you can go fancy. Alright, you can get a, you can go with like a Cometic or something like that. But honestly, the OEM Mazda gaskets, plenty strong. Proven to 900 horsepower, with the right studs, of course. So I'll be using ARP studs. There are a secret sauce set of studs you could use that I am not at liberty to disclose what those are, but they fit the factory thread. And if you look at these, the way you can see that they kind of taper. You know, there's the threads that are kind of thick, and then the actual shaft of the stud tapers down. The other studs that are for a different vehicle, that are the right length, the right thread, will thread in, but they're the same thickness all the way through. And they are There we go. There we go. Alright. Yeah, I really don't plan on getting too much more done with this other than getting it torqued down. I don't have any ARP lube, so I'll be using just straight 30 weight. When using 30 weight, you tend to go a little bit higher torque than what ARP recommends. I'll have to look that up after the fact. I feel like it's like 80 something foot-pounds. I'm just dipping the nuts, giggity, because I don't have an easy way to really apply lubricant. So the studs don't have to be tightened and like they don't have to be torqued into the block. I think they say like finger tight or snug. I'll probably just snug them up. I'll take an Allen wrench and snug them up. When I use the ratchet, I just drove them down, but I didn't really tighten them. But once again, they're not really supposed to be very tight in the block. They're just supposed to be threaded all the way down. Oh, that's pretty loose. Probably what happened last time when I lifted the head. So we're going to start, I think I'm going to start at like 60. And then work my way up to probably like 80. I have to switch to the big wrench because I don't think I'm going to be able to do 80 with that one. Max is out at 80. Alright, so I'm going to have to probably go buy a new torque wrench tomorrow. I don't have a whole lot of faith in the old Harbor Freight that's been sitting in the back of the Trailblazer for like 2 years. It's about 5 pounds questionable, you know, using a luggage scale to kind of pull and see where we're at. It's kind of close, but I don't know. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to like 75 for right now, and then I I will pick up a new torque wrench tomorrow, and I will also pick up a 1/2 inch 12 point. So I'm not using the adapter because the adapter will absorb a lot of that torque, and it will probably break trying to do this to 80, so let's see what happens. I'll move the camera back. Need some elbow room here. I feel like that's about to break. I'm gonna creep up on it because we'll go to 60. We'll try that. Alright, that's 60. Let's go to 70. Let's try 70. Alright, I'm gonna get a different wrench because this doesn't seem to be very consistent. Alright, just decided to use my smaller torque wrench. It's newer. It's a little more accurate. So we'll go with that. I feel like some of these are way over 80 now. This is 80. Might have over torqued it just a tad, but we'll see. Alright, so pretty much for now. Alright, so where we left off at. So yeah, last clip, I was having some trouble getting the head torque down. After doing some research online about torquing the stuff down, I found out that like the majority of the pressure you feel against a wrench is the head of the bolt against the washer. It takes about 50 or so foot-pounds just to turn the washer against the bolt. So if there happens to be fluid, like 30-weight oil, between those two things, you may be able to twist that bolt without the wrench registering that it's torqued, especially when you're using like a torsion style torque wrench or something like that. So I'm pretty confidently it's torqued down. I was able to get 80 on all the bolts. I did go out and buy another torque wrench. It's another Harbor Freight torque wrench. I swore that I'd never spend over $100 on any tool from Harbor Freight, but when I bought their big torquey boy electronic torque wrench, which is actually really nice, especially in a situation where you may be having some issues getting the proper torque, because it tells you exactly how much. You can tell that you're applying 80 foot-pounds of torque. The bolt's turning, but there's 80 foot-pounds of torque on the bolt, which is the issue when using the clicky style, is that you may be applying 80 or 90, but it'll never click because the bolt's still turning. So it's kind of weird. I don't know. So anyways, just trying to do a quick recap of everything that's been done. So, engine is pretty much together. Head's obviously on. Just putting on the timing belt, spin it over, see if it has compression. Should be good. Spark plugs are in the head. Went ahead and dressed the engine slightly. The intake manifold's back on, and some other accessories and stuff are on. Obviously, got the cam gears on. So I think the next game plan here is to get the engine dressed up enough with all the sensors and stuff, and then I will begin the process of building the new wiring harness, because the old wiring harness is, it's pretty junky. It's been gone through, but you see all these loop backs and all this stuff. It's just, it's unnecessary for it to be like that. So, like I said a few videos ago, I went and bought a bunch of connectors and everything, and I'm just going to build a new harness from scratch. Well, anyways, a new engine harness from scratch. The harness inside the car is the same because they're, the bulkhead connectors, but yada yada. So, after I get the engine completely dressed and the harness complete, I'm going to start working on the engine bay, because there's a bunch of stuff that I just haven't really, I haven't paid as much attention to that I should have. So, as I should have. So, but yeah, engine bay is just pretty bad. It's pretty atrocious. There's a bunch of paint that's chipping off and stuff, and just a bunch of things that I really should have taken care of the last time I had the engine out, but I didn't. But yeah, sorry. I'm not gonna sit there and have you guys watch me do this. Yeah, that's pretty much it for now, I think. I'm just gonna finish kind of piddling away at this, and I'll catch you guys up on the next video. Till next time.